Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Kimberly DeCray. I am a 2 times CrossFit Games team athlete, and I am mainly on here to help people with working out, exercise, fitness, macros, healthy desserts, things like that. But today I wanted to talk about something a little different. So this last week I was off YouTube. I was out of town because I was getting married, and I decided to put this video together today because I wanted to share my whole experience with marriage. And even if this doesn't really get any hits or views, that's okay, because it will at least be a video that I can look back on and just have to show to any of my friends as a good memory and recollection of my overall experience of getting married. So I wanted to start off with saying that weddings are not what they appear to be at all. They are not what they seem like on the outside. And I did get a glimpse of this when my best friend got married in this spring. I just remember her venting to me a few times about how stressed she was and how she really just wanted it to be over because she wasn't able to really plan her own wedding. It was mainly planned by her in-laws. So I figured that that was kind of, maybe a one-off or not as common, or her feelings were stemming from that. But then as I started planning my own wedding, I started to realize that wasn't just her. That wasn't just her situation. When you go to a wedding, everything seems so picture perfect on the outside. Everyone is looking their absolute best. They have professional makeup done, their hair, they're dressed perfectly, especially the bride and groom. Everyone has smiles, it's scripted. But when you are behind the scenes and you are the one planning that wedding, it's not like that. At least for a wedding this size, a big wedding that has certain food and a certain agenda that they're going to follow. It's one thing if it's a big casual wedding and everyone just shows up and it's pretty casual, but this was a big wedding. It was big and it was kind of fancy. And full disclosure, that is not my personality. I didn't want that originally, but it was something that my fiance Luke had wanted, and my parents seemed to think that was a good route to go. And I think there is a part of me that kind of liked it, so I just ended up going that route. But it ended up being stressful, and this is why I wanted to make a video about this, because I wanted other people to both know what they're getting themselves into, but also to hear my opinion of how I felt of it overall. As some of you know, I have ADHD, so planning this wedding and not hiring a wedding planner might not have been the best idea, because I struggle to juggle a lot of things at once. And obviously when you plan a wedding, that is a lot of organization, just a lot of things that nothing can be missed. And I do tend to miss things because of the way that I think. So that part was also very hard. I personally was trying to be cheap because I knew that this wedding was going to cost a lot of money. My dad did give me a budget, but that budget barely paid for everyone's food. So we had to find other ways to save money outside of the food. So when it came to like the wedding planner, I only wanted a day of wedding planner. I didn't want a month before or 90 days out wedding planner. I just wanted a day of wedding planner because I was trying to save money. And that became very stressful to me because it was a lot of thinking and just a lot going on. And so the planning can get extremely overwhelming. But in my case, when I finally got my day of wedding planner, it took a whole load off of my plate. It was so nice. It was like, I was like, wow, if I had had this the whole time, it definitely would have relieved some stress. But it doesn't take away all the stress because the decisions still have to come from you. And you, as the bride, that combination of being responsible for everything, the layout, the food that people are eating, the colors, just everything. It's a hard combination, being responsible for an entire event while also being the star of the entire event. Like, you don't see actors, go out and produce their movie they're in. No, like they are, you don't see them running ads, online, being the marketers for their movies. But as a bride of a wedding, a big wedding that you're planning, you are the one writing all the invites, telling everyone to come, making it the best experience they could have. It's event planning for an event that you are in. So that was the part that was hard for me emotionally, because I started to get really self-conscious and think about people looking at me, and that also could be part of my personality as well, because sometimes I don't like that, but I have noticed and heard from a lot of other girls that they felt the same way. I don't know if they were as concerned about people looking at them, but I think you get concerned about your hair. You want everything to be perfect, not just the wedding, but you want to be perfect because that's what people are coming for. That's what people are coming to see. Just the whole combination of planning a wedding while also trying to make yourself your best self on that day for everybody that is traveling so far, spending so much money to come be a part of this event and also see you marry the love of your life. It can be a lot. So that to me was, I think, honestly, the hardest part is the last month coming down to it and me realizing I still don't have my hair figured out. I don't really like how I look with a lot of makeup. I don't know if I'm going to look really bad. And then all of a sudden you become like almost vain. And I don't know about vain, but you just become really self-conscious and you start to care a lot about looks, because that is something that people are going to be paying attention to. That is, I mean, there are people traveling and spending a lot of money for that. So the last thing that I would say for all of you brides that are going to plan a wedding, especially the ones that are cheap like me, it always ends up to be more than you expected. And as much as I tried to save money in other ways, we ended up having to pay a lot out of pocket. And when everything started to add up, just all the little things that you would never even think of. When we paid the final balance of everything, it added up to being a lot more than what we had budgeted for, because our parents gave us a certain budget. Like I said, my dad gave us enough to pay for the food, and then Luke's parents contributed. So we were trying to, barely spend too much out of that budget, but we knew we were going to have to spend some of our own money. And it ended up being a lot more than what we expected. And that was the part that added to all the stress, because you're in the beginning of your relationship together. You want to start off on a good foot. And when you realize you're just digging a hole in debt, that can also add to the stress. And for me, who I do tend to worry about money and I like to be kind of frugal with my money, practical, this was really hard for me. But honestly, after everything came together, after I saw my family, after we went to the rehearsal dinner and we were just all together and the best man made a speech, even though there's drama in my family, there is also so much love. And that took away all of those negative feelings and nerves and regrets. And I ended up having no regret. And people were so generous that they ended up giving us so much money back that ended up covering what we owed anyway. So I don't know why I just got so emotional. That doesn't really happen that often. I don't know if I'm going to end up using this or not. But my conclusion is it's totally worth it. If you want to do a big wedding, I would highly recommend it. Even though you might be stressed out for a few months, it ended up being really worth it. And people said it was the most fun day of their lives. So, and I would definitely agree. So I hope this was helpful.